This interview, also called the product execution interview, is all about metrics and how you set goals for products. In this video, I'll take you behind the scenes and do a complete walkthrough with open notes on how to deliver a great answer to the success metrics question. If you are new here, my name is Balaji. I'm a product manager based in Silicon Valley. I used to be a product manager at companies such as Microsoft, Shopify, Twitter, and Pinterest, and I've held offers from companies such as Meta or Facebook, Reddit, Adobe, and a few others. Let's get into it. So the prompt we're going to use today is, what success metrics would you set for ChatGPT? Let's get started. The first thing I want to do is get in some of my clarification questions. So let me quickly write those down. So my first clarification is just to make sure that we're on the same page on what we mean by ChatGPT. This is the chat application that has been created by OpenAI, and I would just want to get confirmation on whether we're talking about chat, the app where you chat, or we're talking about the model like GPT-5 or GPT-4, 4.0, and so on. And let's say that this conversation is about the chat service. And finally, I quickly want to check whether we're talking about the consumer side or the enterprise side or both. Let's just say that for the purpose of this exercise, we'll keep it to consumer for now. I think those are all the clarifications I need. It's fairly clear what product we're talking about. The way I'd like to approach this is, first, I'm going to list out what my approach to this answer is going to be. Okay, so the way I'd like to approach this is, first, I want to talk about OpenAI's mission and the goal of the product. Second, I'll chart out what the ecosystem of people involved in OpenAI's ChatGPT is like. Then I'd like to quickly talk about how people use this product. What is the flow of someone using ChatGPT and where they derive value from this? This will allow us to understand what metrics we should actually measure. So we'll quickly brainstorm metrics based on that. And finally, based on our previous metric brainstorm, we're going to find out what our North Star metrics are going to be. And finally, I'll wrap up with some guardrail or counter metrics. So first, the mission of OpenAI is to build AI that benefits humanity. And ChatGPT is their flagship, most core product that is a chat service that allows people to get their questions answered or accomplish certain outcomes. Maybe they're looking for something, or they're wanting to book something or create something. So what they're looking to achieve might have a few flavors. And the last thing that I want to call out for the product goal is that mostly people look to accomplish something of utility through ChatGPT or try to get a boost in efficiency using ChatGPT. So based on that, what I'm going to do next is chart out the ecosystem of who all are involved in the space when we talk about ChatGPT. Okay, so the ecosystem of people involved in ChatGPT is OpenAI itself. And then you have consumers or end users of ChatGPT. And I think we can split them up between individual consumers and enterprises who also purchase from OpenAI. Then you have people like integration partners. So this could be Shopify, where you can check out with Shopify. This could be Stripe, where the final amount checkout is also powered through Stripe. And finally, you could have some form of destination partners. Now, I'm not sure exactly how they are integrated with OpenAI and how much they work together, but let's say that I'm searching for what are the best pair of running shoes. And let's say the recommendation is some Nike Vapor running shoe or something. And there's a link that takes me to either Nike's website to purchase it, or it takes me to Amazon's website to purchase it. Technically, ChatGPT should get credit in sending the traffic over there. So I think there's some angle of destination partners as well. The same could extend to anything like maybe United Airlines or Singapore Airlines or whatever the airline is. You might get credit for sending people there when they're trying to book something. So among all of these users in this ecosystem, we're going to focus on the individual consumers. More on the consumer side, we can quickly talk about enterprises as well. But what I'm going to do next is take these individual consumers and write down what their overall user journey is like, how they interact with this product, how do they use this product. And based on that, we'll also try to identify where exactly they're finding value out of that product. That value will allow us to determine what the right metric to be tracked should be. Let's do it. Okay, now that I have my thoughts down, let's go quickly through the user's journey. So it starts with somebody not knowing that ChatGPT exists and now discovering that ChatGPT is something that they can use. They start with a sign up or a sign in. They ask their first question. They potentially clarify the question if ChatGPT didn't understand it right. They potentially engage in some way, either a thumbs up, thumbs down, ask more questions, and finally get answers to those questions. So eventually they're looking to get their question solved or their task completed. This is important. And then they might rate ChatGPT's response, maybe with a thumbs up. I'm not sure what percentage of people will actually take the time to actually press the thumbs up button. So we might require some form of sentiment analysis of the next question to understand if the user is happy. So based on that sentiment analysis, we could understand if whatever the user said next is a reframing of the same question, or is it an expansion of scope of the question, or is it a new question, or are they just purely unhappy with the answer? Then they might engage potentially in other modalities. All of these don't need to happen, but this could be a potential option where they use images or they use videos or audio to get more utility out of ChatGPT. And then they'll decide whether to reuse the product or not. And they'll come back to ChatGPT if it helped. And finally, they'll upgrade to a paid tier if they had a good experience and maybe recommended it to friends. So out of this, where value specifically is happening is they get their task completed, and maybe they expand scope in some way, and eventually they upgrade to the paid tier if they had a good experience. Now, there might be certain people who don't need any additional features of the paid tier and the free is just good enough for them, or they just don't have the budget to buy the paid version and they're still enjoying the product. So I think we'll have some flavor of success based on this and some flavor of success based on this as well. So what I would do next is, based on this understanding of the user journey, I would brainstorm what metrics I would like to track. Okay, so based on my brainstorm, I have a few categories of metrics that I would like to take a look at. First, based on our user journey, is task completion rate. I think this is going to be one of the most important metrics. The way we'll measure this is number of tasks detected as complete divided by the number of total tasks attempted. How we will detect this, there could be a few ways to detect this. One of them could be the thumbs up or thumbs down. You could also look at the sentiment of the next question and try to understand it based on that. And for media, let's say you're generating an image or you're generating a video, it's much more simple to detect it. If the user is actually downloading it, then that's a good indication that they like what they see. Next, I would also like to see something around depth of engagement. So number of tasks attempted per user per week. I think daily might be too deep and it might be too noisy, so we'll look at this on a weekly basis. And I would also want to look at something around stickiness. So how often are people coming back to this product among the regular users? So of all the people that are using ChatGPT, are they coming back to it on a daily basis, or is it more on a weekly basis? And I think that since this is a utility-based product and it is a fantastic product, that the stickiness would be pretty high and people would be probably coming back to it every day. Next, I would like to see something around chaining. So what chaining is every time we ask a question now to ChatGPT, it gives a follow-up by itself without us having to ask, and it expands the scope, trying to predict what our next request might be and just asks us for a yes or a no. So I think that's something interesting that we might want to check how effective that is within ChatGPT. And for that, I'd use that percentage of conversations where chaining was successful or the user engaged with the chaining. And I'd also see the depth of chaining. Like, was it one follow-up question that the user engaged with and then stopped, or was it 2, 3? Where is that average? That will also allow us to understand how people are using ChatGPT today. Next, I think is going to be one of the, again, very important metrics, is going to be around hireability. Basically, ChatGPT is an assistant for us, right? We're hiring it to help us with something. So I would want to look at daily active users on the free tier. If people are deciding out of their free will to come back to this product on a daily basis or weekly basis or monthly basis, then that means that people are finding utility out of this. Why I picked daily here is because this is a product very similar to Google search, or it's trying to replace Google search, and that's a very high frequency activity, and the nature of the activity is such that people might need to use this every day. I think daily will be a fair way to look at it. We could also look at monthly to give us a slightly broader signal. And I would want to look at this between the free tier and the paid tier and have an example conversion rate of what percentage of people from the free tier are converting to the paid tier. Finally, I'll quickly look at some benchmark performance. This is more model specific, not specifically ChatGPT specific. I would want to look at how it's performing against all of the other models. And last, I would look at churn, what percentage of users are not engaging as much with ChatGPT. So now based on this, I think that my top metrics will probably be these. So I'm going to write these down into my North Star metrics. So task completion rate, which is equal to. So my final North Star metrics would be split between a leading indicator and a lagging indicator. So a leading indicator is something that you know as it is happening, and lagging indicator is only something you can know after it has happened. Not so useful for debugging, but it is good to showcase your success based on this. So I think my leading indicator is task completion rate, which is what percentage of tasks are being completed. And as long as that is very, very high, then we're in a good place. But it doesn't capture everything in the metric, because there could be somebody who's only trying to do one task and it does do it well, but that's not the utility we want out of ChatGPT. We ideally want them coming back. So that gives us a flavor of how effective it is. And then the daily active users on the free and paid tier gives us a signal on how frequently people are coming back. So if you were to add the number of tasks attempted along with this, the task completion rate, then you can get an even bigger signal, but we're trying to narrow it down to just a couple of metrics at the North Star stage. Finally, I'll take a minute to quickly jot down my thoughts on what the guardrail metric should be. Okay, so here are the metrics that I would track in my guardrail section. First, I'd like to look at model reselection rate, which is how many times is a user changing from the latest GPT-5 model to a different kind of model. I think it'll be very interesting to track that. Probably more specific to the GPT-5 model than to ChatGPT overall, but it'll still be important to keep this in mind. Second, I'd like to take a look at the user's frustration rate, which is the percentage of tasks where the user had to do reframing of the question, and also track the number of times a reframing was needed. We already covered churn. I would also look at hallucination rate, so percentage of tasks where hallucination was detected. How we do this is maybe a combination of humans reporting factual incorrectness, and maybe we have one AI to check another AI's work. I think we might need some flavor of that to understand if hallucination was happening. Then I would want something around safety and spamminess. We don't want spam content or fraudulent content on the platform, so this probably will be detected through humans reporting it. And finally, downtime, just to make sure that our services are available. So that is how I would answer the analytical thinking or product execution interview for how would you set success metrics for ChatGPT. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, you might also find these videos useful on the framework that I have used to answer this question and the top mistakes people make in analytical thinking interviews. Both will be linked in the description as well. I'll see you guys there. Bye.